Have you noticed how something inside you feels perpetually out of alignment? That subtle discomfort that awakens with you each morning before you've even opened your eyes. That whisper of dissatisfaction that follows you through each carefully planned day. This invisible burden doesn't announce itself loudly. It's more like a background frequency, a static hum that's been playing so long you've forgotten it's not supposed to be there. You feel it in the hesitation before you speak your truth, in the tightness across your shoulders when opportunity arrives, in the almost imperceptible flinch when someone offers genuine connection. This dissonance isn't a flaw in your character or a punishment for past mistakes. It's the resonance gap between who you've been conditioned to be and who you truly are at the quantum level of existence. The space between the identity you've been carrying and the soul signature that's been waiting to emerge. This gap is the root of every frustration, every repeated pattern, every unfulfilled dream that seems perpetually just beyond your reach. Not because you aren't worthy, but because you're trying to access a reality that isn't vibrationally compatible with the self you're currently embodying. What if I told you that the version of yourself that experiences fulfillment, connection, and purpose already exists, not as a future possibility or a hypothetical outcome of years of personal development, but as a present reality in the vast field of quantum potential? The truth that transforms everything is this: you don't create your desires through effort and willpower. You access them through resonance and alignment. Your present experience isn't a reflection of what you want or what you're trying to manifest. It's a perfect mirror of who you're being at the energetic level. This explains why so many of us find ourselves trapped in cycles of effort and disappointment, continuously reaching for outcomes while unconsciously broadcasting the frequency of their absence. We've been taught that transformation is about doing more, trying harder, accumulating more knowledge, more techniques, more tools. But what if the answer isn't addition but subtraction? What if the path forward isn't about becoming something new, but about removing the layers that aren't authentically you? Consider for a moment how your current identity was formed. Did you consciously choose your emotional responses, your beliefs about what's possible, your expectations of others and yourself? Or were these patterns installed through early experiences, through moments of pain or protection, through the unconscious absorption of limitations from those around you? The truth is that much of what you consider to be you was never consciously selected. It was adopted as a survival mechanism, a way to feel safe, to belong, to navigate a world that felt overwhelming. That identity served its purpose. It protected you. It helped you endure. It gave you structure when you needed it most. But that protective identity, necessary as it once was, has become the very cage that now restricts your expansion. Like software that was cutting edge when installed, but now severely limits the system's capacity, your learned identity has outlived its usefulness. Yet your body, your nervous system, your subconscious mind remains loyal to this outdated programming, recreating it with perfect precision each morning when you wake. Neuroscience has revealed that by the time you reach maturity, up to 95% of your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are running on automatic, governed by subconscious programming installed before you had the capacity for discernment. This isn't a small influence. It's the dominant force shaping your entire experience. Every morning, your body awakens with a precise chemical signature, a memorized emotional state that it recreates with perfect fidelity. Before your conscious mind has even begun to formulate its first intention for the day, your entire system has already committed to being the same person you were yesterday. Your cells, your neural pathways, your hormonal balance, your energy field, all synchronized to maintain continuity of identity. This isn't happening because there's something wrong with you, or because you lack discipline. It's happening because your body has become addicted to the familiar emotional states that define your current identity. Like a river that has carved a deep channel through rock over centuries, your thoughts and feelings follow the path of least resistance, flowing automatically into the patterns that have been rehearsed thousands of times. This explains why traditional approaches to change so often falter. Affirmations, visualizations, goal setting, these conscious mind techniques are attempting to redirect a river that's been flowing in the same direction for decades. They're trying to override a system that's operating at a much deeper level than words or images can easily access. When you repeat an affirmation while your entire energetic signature is broadcasting the opposite frequency, you're creating dissonance, not transformation. It's like trying to tune into a classical music station while your receiver is set to pick up only static. The music exists, but you can't access it until you change the frequency of your receiver. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds with perfect precision to the frequency you're actually embodying moment by moment. This is why so many sincere seekers find themselves stuck in cycles of hope and disappointment, continuously reaching for new techniques while unconsciously broadcasting the same old frequency. What's truly happening at the quantum level is far more fascinating than most personal development frameworks acknowledge. Your thoughts and emotions aren't just subjective experiences happening inside your skull. They're electromagnetic transmissions that extend beyond your physical body, interacting with the field of infinite possibility that quantum physicists have discovered surrounds us. Every thought produces an electrical signal, and every emotion generates a magnetic field. Together, these create your energetic signature, a broadcast that's as unique as your fingerprint and far more influential in determining what shows up in your life. Research from the HeartMath Institute has demonstrated that the electromagnetic field generated by your heart is 60 times stronger in amplitude than the field generated by your brain, and it can be measured several feet beyond your physical body. This isn't mystical thinking, it's measurable science. When you're in a state of anxiety, resentment, or inadequacy, your heart rhythm becomes chaotic and disordered, creating an incoherent electromagnetic signal. When you shift into states of appreciation, compassion, or wholeness, your heart rhythm becomes ordered and harmonious, creating a coherent signal that changes how your entire system functions and how you interact with the field around you. This understanding transforms everything about how we approach change. Instead of trying to manipulate external circumstances to feel differently, we recognize that our emotional broadcast is creating our experience in real time. Instead of waiting for conditions to improve so we can finally feel good, we understand that feeling good, generating coherent, harmonious emotional states, is what allows improved conditions to materialize. This isn't magical thinking, it's quantum mechanics. The observer effect in quantum physics has demonstrated that the act of observation changes what's being observed. But here's the crucial insight that changes everything. It's not just that you observe reality, it's who you're being while you observe that determines what materializes. Your state of being is the tuning mechanism that collapses infinite potential into specific experience. You're not manifesting what you want, you're materializing who you are. This explains why two people can encounter the exact same circumstances and have completely different experiences. One person walks into a room broadcasting the frequency of opportunity and connection, while another walks in broadcasting the frequency of threat and isolation. The room doesn't change, but what each person experiences is dramatically different, because their internal broadcast is organizing their perception and orchestrating what unfolds. The profound implication is that your current reality isn't happening to you, it's happening from you. It's not a reflection of your worth or your potential, it's a reflection of your present vibrational signature. This is simultaneously humbling and empowering, because it places the point of creation where it has always been, within you. Not within the striving, efforting, wanting part of you, but within the being, feeling, resonating aspect of your nature. This is why all authentic transformation begins with a shift in identity, not a change in circumstances. It's not about creating something new or reaching for something that isn't here. It's about tuning into a reality that already exists in the quantum field, a reality that becomes accessible the moment you shift your frequency to match it. Like turning the dial on a radio, you're not creating the music, you're tuning into a broadcast that's already playing. The version of you that experiences the life you've been wanting isn't a future self that needs to be constructed through years of effort. It's a present possibility that's waiting for you to align with it. So here's the turning point, the moment where everything changes. What if instead of trying to change your thoughts to improve your life, you recognize that both your thoughts and your life experience are reflections of a deeper reality, your energetic state of being? What if instead of trying to think your way into a new life, you focused on shifting the observer, changing who's doing the observing? This is the quantum leap that transforms everything. The moment you recognize that your former self, with all its limiting beliefs, reactive patterns, and memorized emotions, is not your essential nature but a pattern you've been practicing, you create a critical gap between the pattern and your awareness. You become the one who sees the pattern rather than being the pattern itself. And in that moment of seeing, of pure awareness, you discover the most liberating truth. You are not your thoughts. Not your emotions, not your past, not your patterns. You are the consciousness that can observe all these things, and this observing awareness is your true nature. Vast, peaceful, and inherently free from all limitations. This is the transformation that changes everything, and it happens not gradually over time but in an instant of recognition. The moment you step back from identification with your old self and recognize your true nature as the aware consciousness in which all experiences arise, you've already made the quantum leap. Your circumstances may not change immediately, but the consciousness observing those circumstances has fundamentally shifted, and this changes everything about how reality will unfold from this point forward. This is the observer effect in action, not as an abstract scientific principle but as a lived experience of freedom and possibility. So if this resonates within you, if something stirs in recognition of this truth, then you're already beginning the shift. Take a moment now to acknowledge this awareness, to feel the presence of the real you that has always been here beneath the noise and limitation. If this message speaks to the part of you that knows there's more than what you've been experiencing, share it below, not just for others but as a declaration to the quantum field. I am ready to release who I've been pretending to be. This isn't just content to consume, it's an invitation to remember who you truly are. Subscribe not just to these videos but to this frequency of truth, this community of awakening observers who are remembering their power to collapse new possibilities into reality through the simple act of being who they truly are. The journey of quantum transformation isn't just an intellectual understanding. It's an embodied experience that rewires your entire being. When you recognize yourself as the observer rather than the pattern being observed, something profound happens in your neurology. The prefrontal cortex, the most evolved part of your brain responsible for self-awareness and conscious choice, becomes more active while the limbic system and amygdala, responsible for automated emotional reactions, begin to quiet down. This neurological shift isn't just happening in your mind, it's transforming your entire nervous system. Your heart rhythm becomes more coherent, your breath deepens naturally, stress hormones decrease, and regenerative hormones increase. Your cells begin receiving different signals, and over time, your very biology begins to reflect this new state of being. This isn't metaphorical, it's literal, measurable transformation happening at the cellular level. Your DNA is not a fixed blueprint, but a dynamic response system that's constantly reading the environment created by your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. When you shift from stress and separation into coherence and wholeness, you literally change how your genes express, activating potential that has always been there, but was previously suppressed by your emotional state. This explains why people who make this quantum shift often report not just psychological changes, but physical ones as well. Chronic conditions improving, energy increasing, sleep deepening, even their physical appearance changing to reflect their new vibration. They're not just thinking differently, they're literally becoming someone new at the biological level. The body, which has been faithfully recreating the chemical signature of your old identity, now begins to adapt to a new signal, a new set of instructions coming from your coherent heart and awakened awareness. But here's where many people get stuck in the process. They expect this shift to be complete and permanent from the first moment of recognition. They don't understand that while the awakening to your true nature can happen in an instant, the rewiring of your system takes time and practice. The river of your old identity has carved a deep channel, and even when you've redirected the flow, the old pathway remains for a time. This is why you might experience moments of profound clarity and freedom, only to find yourself slipping back into familiar patterns of thought and emotion. This isn't failure, it's recalibration. Your system has been running the old program for decades, and it takes consistent practice to establish the new pattern as the default. The key is not to judge yourself when you notice the old identity reasserting itself, but to simply observe it with compassion. Ah, there's that old pattern running again. I see it, but I am not it. Each time you make this distinction between awareness and pattern, you strengthen the neural pathways of your new identity and weaken the grip of the old. This is why quantum transformation isn't about forcing change through willpower, but about consistent recognition and gentle redirection. It's not about fighting against what was, but about investing your energy and attention in what's emerging. Like a gardener who doesn't fight against weeds but simply keeps planting and nurturing what they want to grow, you focus on embodying your true nature, moment by moment. and the old patterns naturally begin to fall away from lack of use and attention. What makes this process challenging for many is that we've been conditioned to believe that real change requires struggle, that if it doesn't feel difficult, it's not really happening. But quantum transformation works by entirely different principles. It's not about effort, but about alignment. It's not about pushing against resistance, but about following the path of least resistance into your natural state. Think of it like this. If you've been swimming upstream your entire life, fighting against the current, the idea of simply turning around and flowing with the river might seem too easy, too simple to be effective. But it's precisely this simplicity that makes it so powerful. Your true nature is not something you need to construct or achieve. It's what remains when you stop trying to be something you're not. It's the natural state of your being when all the layers of conditioning, protection, and limitation have been recognized as not you. This doesn't mean you become passive or surrender your power to choose and act. Quite the opposite. When you're aligned with your true nature, your actions become more effective because they're coming from coherence rather than struggle. You're no longer fighting against yourself, dividing your energy between what you consciously want and what you unconsciously believe. You become a unified field of intention and being, and this alignment is what allows the quantum field to respond with synchronicity and flow. Things that seemed impossible from your old perspective now unfold with surprising ease. Not because the external world has magically changed, but because you're interacting with it from a completely different state of being. Opportunities you couldn't see before become visible, because you're no longer filtering reality through the lens of limitation. Connections that weren't possible from your old vibration now materialize because you're broadcasting a frequency that attracts, rather than repels, what you desire. This is the key difference between manifestation techniques and quantum alignment. Manifestation often focuses on getting something you don't have, which paradoxically reinforces the frequency of lack. Quantum alignment is about becoming the version of you that already experiences what you desire, which naturally attunes you to that reality in the field. You're not trying to make something happen in the future. You're stepping into a parallel reality that already exists by changing the frequency of the observer. This shift in perspective changes everything about how you approach your desires. Instead of asking, "What do I need to do to get this?" you ask, "Who would I be if this were already my reality?" Instead of focusing on the absence of what you want, you focus on the presence of the you who experiences it. This isn't denial or pretending, it's vibrational alignment, and it's the most powerful force for transformation available to us. Let's make this concrete and practical with a process you can embody right now to initiate your own quantum shift. This isn't a technique to add to your collection of spiritual tools. It's a direct experience of the truth we've been exploring. First, take a moment to identify the version of you that's been running on autopilot, the identity shaped by limitation and protection. Give it a name or a symbol that acknowledges its presence without judgment. This isn't about rejecting or condemning this aspect of your experience. It's about recognizing it clearly, so you can distinguish between the pattern and your awareness of the pattern. Notice how this identity feels in your body, how it thinks, how it moves through the world. Notice the tension it carries, the beliefs it holds, the expectations it has about what's possible. This recognition isn't intellectual. It's felt, embodied, direct. You're not analyzing this identity. You're witnessing it with clear, compassionate awareness. Now imagine stepping back from this identity, creating space between the observer and the observed. Feel yourself expanding beyond the boundaries of this familiar self, recognizing that while this pattern has been part of your experience, it is not the totality of who you are. It's something you've been carrying, like luggage filled with old belongings that once seemed essential, but now only weigh you down. See yourself gently setting down this burden, not with rejection or force, but with gratitude for how it served you, and recognition that you no longer need it to navigate your life. Feel the immediate lightness, the spaciousness that opens up when you release identification with this limited version of yourself. This isn't something you're pretending to do. It's something you're recognizing has always been true. The luggage was never attached to you. You were simply gripping it so tightly and for so long that it seemed like part of you. In this spaciousness, become aware of a different quality of presence emerging, the authentic you that exists beneath all conditioning and limitation. This isn't a new identity you're constructing. It's your original nature that's been present all along, like the sun that's always shining above the clouds. Feel the qualities of this true self, the natural peace, clarity, compassion, and aliveness that are intrinsic to your being when nothing is obstructing them. Notice how this true self breathes differently, how it holds the body differently, how it perceives from a place of wholeness rather than lack. Again, this isn't imaginary. It's the most real thing about you, the ground of your being that has always been here, sometimes clouded, but never absent. This is who you truly are, and who you have always been, beneath the layers of who you learned to be. Now, from this space of authentic being, make a simple declaration, not as an affirmation you're trying to believe, but as a recognition of what you've just experienced. I no longer identify with who I've learned to be. I align with who I truly am. Feel these words resonating not just in your mind, but in your cells, in your energy field, in the quantum field that surrounds and interpenetrates you. This declaration isn't creating something new. It's acknowledging a shift that's already happened in this moment of recognition. You haven't become someone new. You've remembered who you've always been beneath the layers of forgetting. This remembering changes everything because it changes the observer. And the observer is what collapses infinite potential into specific experience through the quality of their attention and the frequency of their being. This shift isn't a one-time event, but a practice of continuous recognition and realignment. Each time you notice yourself slipping back into the patterns of your old identity, and you will because these patterns have momentum, simply observe it happening without judgment and gently return to the truth of who you are. Ah, there's that old pattern running again. I see it, but I am not it. This ongoing practice of recognition and realignment is what gradually transforms your default state from the limited identity to your authentic being. It's not about perfection or never experiencing the old patterns again. It's about developing the awareness to recognize when you've slipped into identification and the capacity to return to your center. Over time, you'll find yourself dwelling more consistently in your true nature, with the old patterns arising less frequently and dissolving more quickly when they do appear. As this shift stabilizes, you'll begin to notice your external reality reorganizing itself to reflect your new frequency. This won't necessarily happen all at once, though sometimes it does, but gradually or in waves of synchronicity and alignment. People will respond to you differently because they're interacting with a different energy field. Opportunities that resonate with your authentic being will begin to appear, often in unexpected ways. Circumstances that were aligned with your old frequency will either transform or fall away, to make space for what matches who you truly are. This isn't magical thinking. It's the natural consequence of shifting the frequency of the observer. You haven't changed the external world directly. You've changed who's experiencing it, and this changes everything about how reality organizes itself around you. This is the quantum leap that transforms everything. Not a technique you apply to get something, but a fundamental shift in who's doing the experiencing. It's available to you not in some distant future when you've accumulated enough spiritual knowledge or practiced enough techniques, but right now in this moment through the simple recognition of your true nature. It requires no special abilities, no years of preparation, no complex understanding, just the willingness to look directly at what's already here, the awareness in which all experience arises, your true self that has never been damaged, limited, or separate from the wholeness of life. If this exploration has awakened something in you, if you felt even a momentary recognition of who you truly are beyond all conditioning and limitation, then our connection has served its purpose. Share your experience in the comments below, not just as feedback but as a declaration to the field and to this community of awakening observers. What have you recognized about yourself through this exploration? What has shifted in your perception? How are you experiencing reality differently from this new perspective? Your sharing isn't just valuable for others. It's a powerful way to anchor this recognition in your own experience and to contribute to the collective field of awakening consciousness. Subscribe to this channel if you feel called to continue this exploration together, to dive deeper into the practical application of quantum principles to everyday life, and to be part of a community that's remembering its power to transform reality from the inside out. The quantum leap happens not when circumstances change, but when the observer remembers who they truly are. And that remembering is happening right now, in this moment, in you.